I always think these sessions are more about the why rather than the how. The real thing that's always interested me is why it is that highly intelligent human beings who could probably make a great career doing almost anything they wanted to choose to spend their lives making pots, which is not necessarily the easiest thing to do. So that's the thing that maybe we'll explore a little bit today. So can we talk a little bit about your early days? Because you're born in Japan.
I was born in Japan, and I don't have anything special. I just grew up like other ordinary Japanese people. So there was nothing special about myself. I'm just very ordinary, and I am still a very ordinary person. But my younger sister, was studying in England, studying photography.
Right.
So, and I was working in advertisement agency, and I did not like the job.
This was in Japan?
I was in Japan, and I didn't like the job, and I just look for the reason to give up, and I did. And because once you have a job, you can't have a long holiday. So before finding a new job, I thought I would come to England to see my sister. I came, and I did go to I went to language school to study English because I spoke very little English, and I am still here.
And what did your mother and father think about?
They have always said, "Oh, don't be stupid coming back home, get married," and all these normal Japanese parents say. I wasn't happy working in that company I was working, and I couldn't find anything that I felt that makes me happy. And I have a lot of hardship being in England because number one is the language barrier.
Yes.
To overcome all these things and learning new things was a lot more fun than earning regular money.
Sure.
In Japan. So I just, and also I was younger, and I was a bit stupid, so I didn't think about it. So that kind of naivety kept me staying.
Right.
That's a kind of.
And you read psychology at university?
I did, and I did like it, but and I still I do listen to a lot of audiobooks because I don't have time to read actual books. But now psychology has become so much more advanced than when I was studying psychology. So I have a lot more information, and I'm still interested in that subject.
And do you know what drew you to that in the first place?
Initially, the professor I was going to study with specialized illusion of the moon, how the moon on the horizon looks bigger is not actually the illusion of just an eye, also something to do with adjustment of the brain that we do. I've read his book, and it was very interesting, and I wanted to pursue more. But afterwards, when I went to the university, I was studying under him, and then also it was the beginning of the kind of pioneering of cognitive psychology at that time, and that was that I'm still interested in. That's why I'm still reading a lot about it. But
So you came to this country, and when did you start making pots?
I
How long ago?
started making a pot just before I get to my 30s. So it was like 28, 29 years old. And before that, I went to Northampton to do the voluntary work for helping homeless people. So at that time, I was still thinking of, okay, I will study more psychology. But I met a potter called Chris Bramble, and I really liked the making pot, but I don't think it becomes my career, because being a potter sounds not realistic.
And is it?
I was very lucky. I have been very lucky to be a full-time potter. But before giving up my teaching, it was still hard. I have to teach. The teaching gives me a lot of kind of experience, and also I learned a lot from my student and by teaching.
Yes.
But at the beginning, so without teaching, I could not survive.
And where did you go to a college to learn to pot, or how did you start to learn?
How did I start? So before going to University of Westminster, that was a recommendation of my first pottery teacher, Chris Bramble. But I actually applied to the University of London. They have a good psychology course. So I applied for the master degree there with in cognitive psychology, and I got a place. But Chris Bramble also said, if you like the pottery, you can go to. I never thought I could go to university to study pottery without having enough knowledge and foundation, because it's very difficult to be accepted in art university in Japan.
Sure.
You have to draw a lot, you have to do a lot of kind of prior knowledge to be accepted to the Japanese art university. So I just thought, okay, I only did 3 months in Chris Bramble's studio. I can't go to university to study, but he said it's possible. So, and then I applied for that, and I was accepted. And I have a choice between two, psychology or pottery.
And have you ever looked? I mean, you are hugely successful as a potter, but have you ever looked back and thought, oh, I wish I stayed with the psychology?
I still have an option to going back. I did at least like I don't kind of look at the success or not, but at that time when I go to Harrow, University of Westminster, I just thought I want to make a pot every day, and that would make me happy. And it's not for everyone's happiness, but I am glad that I took that route because I've been happy to have my studio and to work in my studio. And I work long hours and sometimes it's hard, and that is not everyone's happiness, but at least makes me feel happy. So.
Sure. I mean, you have a very full day, don't you? Will you tell us a little bit about your day, how that works?
Usually, I wake up at 4:30 because my husband get up at 4:30, and I'm getting up a little bit later, like 5 o'clock. Yeah, I have a coffee and go to work, and I usually walk to work for half an hour. I like the area, so I have a lot of pleasure walking to work. And then usually in the morning, morning is my brain work time because I'm morning type, so I can't do any brain work in the evening. So between like 7 to 7, I'm in my studio, and sometimes I go to kind of buy lunch, but pretty much I'm staying in.
And you do other exercise, don't you?
I usually do swim every day. Yeah, recently, because it's bit I'm very busy, but I'm very fortunate to have outdoor swimming pool nearby. They open from 6:30 in the morning, so I go there first thing in the morning, and that's my another kind of hobby.
All the year round?
All year round because it's heated.
Ah. So by about 7 o'clock in the morning, you're in your studio?
Not when I'm swimming. I'm swimming about an hour.
Okay.
So if I go 6:30, 6:40, I finish 7:30, and I get back home, having a shower, get back home. So if I do swim, I work a bit later. I start working later than that time.
Did it take very long when you were in the early days before you realised that you could make a living as a potter?
It's quite a long time because it was a calculation after, and when my income of pottery, selling pottery, is become higher than my salary, I still couldn't decide because my parents think that even I'm quite old, it's not, I wasn't a child, but still I thought there was a barrier that pottery isn't a proper job.
Sure.
So what made me decide is that the income become, my pottery income is more than teaching, number one. And then second, it is a CPA exhibition, and I wasn't a fellow, and only fellow membership we can do the solo exhibition at CPA. And the curator mentioned about to me, and before that I have so many failure that something is about to happen, and it didn't happen. So I kind of expected that may not happen. So if that really happens, I will give up my teaching. And then it happened, so I just left school.
So how many years, I mean, you now have, if we talk about in financial terms, and I know that's not first and foremost in your mind, but you are incredibly successful in the general. How long did it take before that started to happen? Because so many of us think, you know, they see someone like you and they see an exhibition and vast numbers of things sell, and they think, oh, that's fantastic. It's almost like that has always been the case, and it's not been the case.
It's not been the case.
How long did it take?
So the first 2 years, I even selling my work in market, street market, and it's 2 years I was below the income of paying tax, and the third year I started paying very little tax. But I was very happy that, okay, I'm a taxpayer now with my work. And then 5 years, it was a kind of proper profit. And I started saving money. Before that was kind of, my life was kind of day by day, and yeah, so it's because I am a foreigner, you have to have a certain amount of money to stay here anyway, but until you get the residency.
Do you still feel a foreigner?
I
mean, you've been here for longer than you were in Japan.
In Hakone, I don't feel a foreigner because in a way everybody is a kind of immigrant. But in a kind of English town,
yes,
I do feel a foreigner. Yes. But I feel foreigner in Japan because I don't go home very often, and I have a lot of things that I do not know about.
It's a strange situation, isn't it? Those of us who feel foreigners both in the lands that we came from and in the land that we're in. It's an odd syndrome, that.
Yeah.
And if for people who have been born and lived all their lives and their parents were in that same place, it's very difficult for them to understand what it feels like when you're almost like you don't actually belong anywhere. And I rather suspect that it drives one harder than most people. You have done things with pots that most of us have never seen before. And I'm not sure whether anyone else does anything like this. Can you explain at all where that came from?
I did a wood firing experience with Sven Bayer and Nick Collins, and I have a piece of kiln shelf that was come from the bottom of the firebox, of Nick Collins firing, and it's got a lot of ash and accumulation of piece of broken pots and everything. So that was a kind of inspiration of the surface. You can probably see the similarity of that. And also I have an idea of that Korean moon jar that is a white, a pure white one. But the moon jar I liked was a lot of kind of mark of aging, like water stain, chip, and also the impurity come from the clay, and that kind of gives a life to the pot. So in combination with these two ideas, I started developing. So my first jar was pure white, but inspired by the kohiki pot, so it's not the pure white one, and it's not the traditional moon jar like porcelain, because I didn't like that pure white of porcelain. So and that moon jar in the British Museum that is donated by the Rosary, that has a very particular feature, shape, and all these imperfections that gives a life to the pot. So that's a combination of all these things came all together to my current jar. So it's developed little by little, first from the quite quiet one to more like accumulation. And then I've read some books and also thinking about the psychology of the things, how people's mind heals, and what experience gives the life to the person. So all the event that things happen to the person is just like a pot. So the pot has a hardship and have a lot of experience accumulating. So sometimes it doesn't stand still, and it's collapsed or deformed. But that's a part of its life, and if it withstands and keeps the balance, that's the kind of beauty of it. So.
And you now make some pots that with little bits on that are incredibly fragile.
Yes.
I mean, almost like if one feels if one blew at them, the piece would fall off. And is that again? That's part of
the things. So, and if you make that fragile bit stronger, it's a funny thing about the people. We have distinctively have ability to fragile things, fragile. So if you make artificially fragile things strong, it doesn't look fragile any longer. So that also I, from my experience with my teaching, some people see stoneware and earthenware, and earthenware is of course more fragile and softer because it's actually soft, and to gives that fragile things a strength, it loses the fragility. So I don't mind if it breaks in a kind of process of, I will want to keep that fragile bit, but if it breaks, it's also fine. But you see the remain of that fragile bit. That was something fragile was there. So that's the idea of leaving the very fragile.
Hugely personal, isn't it?
Yes,
Hugely personal.
Kind of, but I think it's universal as well. people have that kind of perception
Yes.
of material is not just a material, because we made out of material too.
Yes.
So we have the same fragility and we have the same strength as inorganic material.
Yes. I remember someone years ago saying to me that we go dust to dust, and so do pots, and it all gets. And who knows when a person is born, quite what is actually in them and what they're really made of. We are privileged in this shop to work with some of the world's greatest potters. And I want to talk about the way in which most potters work and the way in which you work. Because most potters who have shows with us know that they've got a show 3 years hence, and 2 years before that they start preparing and making pots and putting the stuff aside and generally getting the new show ready. How long before a show do you start?
Some are very last minute, but some
Now, when you say last minute, tell us.
it's like 3 days ago, or sometimes the day things come out of the pot, it straight goes into the collection. And but new ones, you like something very kind of your favorite. So sometimes you make your favorite. You can put aside as well, but also something comes out freshly, very fresh, and you got the very because my pot reflect directly what I see on the day and how I feel. It's just a very strange thing, but I think, and also you kind of change day by day. So I wrote in my newsletter last time, but the day I thought it is correct is not correct on the second day. So I always work on the day that I feel correct on the day. So new one is always kind of more honest too.
Sure, that's unbelievably honest. But how stressful is that for?
It is very stressful. Yeah, and I sometimes have thought I have to change that working style, but because of also my background, I was very, very poor when I just started, and I can't really afford to wait until you get to the certain stage. I have to just try and have a go, showing the work if it sells. And so day by day is it's a practice to improve day by day. And I'm still kind of learning. And at the end, I just thought, okay, it's endless. It's not. You can't have the day that I perfected this. You never perfect. So I know I have to change. I have to change and I have to organize, but you can't have if you don't have. I try, but if you don't have an ability, you have to take time to improve. So I am still not.
Sure. I listened to recently. I listened to I think he was an Egyptian heart doctor. I think he was very ancient and had done all sorts of amazing things. And at the end of the program, he was asked about what he felt was most important. And he said to have passion and to work with as much integrity as you can muster, and to be humble. And you know, it strikes me that you have all those in spades, and I think that's wonderful. Well, we've managed to talk for over half an hour. So can we open up for some questions? Oh, well, that was easy then. Yes.
When you have been for your swim and walked to your studio, how do you make the decision whether you are going to work on
What kind of pot?
or, yes.
So I said I don't plan, but if first I kind of see the deadline or how many days or weeks I have.
Right.
Sorry, not how many months,
Yeah.
but usually how many weeks I have. And then, okay, if I don't start from the plate usually takes more drying time. If you can't dry first, the flat piece has to start. And then, so priority is from that. And then after that, okay, so I have some rotation of the kiln, which piece goes into that, and somehow my brain automatically works for it. And okay, this large pot needs how many days to work, and a small one, if it's kind of have to accumulate to fill the kiln, this needs certain days. Okay, so this one has to go first. And then in between, you just got an inspiration from what you see on your commuting route, and you just started getting an idea. So you just prepare the test, decide, and so that's determined how my day goes. And that decision has to be very quick. And because I used to teach, so I have a very limited time. So I just automatically works out very quickly. Okay, today I make this. And that's why it's quite hard for me to have somebody in my studio. If somebody else is in my studio, that kind of thought process is just disturbed, and I don't know what to do on that day, because it's automatically kind of working out.
Anyone else? Yes.
When you first started working with clay, in the very beginning, did you make pieces that you somehow relate to what you're doing now? Or was it completely different?
It is, everything is actually related, even from the school time. When I went to University of Westminster and Central St. Martin's, and I liked ash glaze, using ash, and also kohiki ware is particularly I was interested in, because as a consumer, I always buy kohiki ware, so that's my subject. And I'm still testing different recipes and how to apply, and the firing cycles and so on. So everything from that very early stage to now, I think is all related.
You say that you've got part of the one might describe as a logical thinking, I've got days to do certain things, and the feeling as to how everything builds on something else. Do you have any expectation as to how you will feel before you see a pot when it's finished? Do you?
I try not to expect exact outcome. I know roughly. Of course, at the beginning of my career, these expectation, the kind of chance was zero. It's only like 1 or 2 pieces come out nicely. That was a success. But because I've been doing more than 20 years now, so kind of you have accumulated the knowledge from your experience, so you know, okay, this one is will be come out roughly that kind of this shininess, and the bluishness has to be this much. And if I use this ash, okay, this will be slightly matte, but if I use that wood ash, it will be more green, and that kind of things. So roughly, you just plan, and it's not the kind of rocket science, but it's more to like cooking. You just have a bit more salt here, but you know salt is not sweet. And that kind of very, very rough knowledge about the thing and how material react. And when you oxidize this, how it comes out is more bright or a little bit darker. And but I sometimes take a chance, like these days I take less chance, but I make a kind of tear on the pot and let it collapse a little bit. And then if it's hold on to that kind of edge, it looks really good because it's just about to collapse. You can see the movement. But sometimes if you do too much, it will gone completely. And that kind of things sometimes you expect, but I got to the failure. But it's not the kind of, it looks, some people think that I do things randomly, but it's not random. You kind of know how things will be out.
Yes.
In art, there are movements, and this is so completely different, this type of pot with this work on. Are other potters doing this as well, or are you alone?
I think other potters might do, but because I am not on social media and I don't read magazines, so I am kind of isolated, probably on purposely isolated, because I'm quite coward and I don't want to kind of, I don't know. So I assume that there are a lot of potters do it, but I try not.
I'm not sure whether there is anything quite like this. I've long thought that there are very few great potters in the world, and it has always occurred to me that you all share one thing: you're highly intelligent human beings, and you're all actually philosophers at heart. It is more than just making pots. But I want to thank you for being so open with us about what you do. And I want to thank you for what you give to the world, because it's very special, and all these people who turn out and pay chunky amounts of money for what you make.
And thank you for the opportunity. And thank you everybody for coming to the exhibition. Thank you.
Yes, I would like to thank you all for turning out in such numbers, and I hope you feel that it's been worth it. We've certainly have felt that. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.